can't get along, you better get it on. You should always have a chick while you on your throne. Nobody cares, you better stay alive. But for now, we up to bat, we yelling hit or die. Hit or die, 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 hit or die. That's two for me, one for the team, and we won't stop till we get the ring. Hit or die, 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 hit or die. That's two for me, one for the team, and we won't stop till we get the ring.
So join us is Jeff Frye, former big leaguer, 9 years with the Rangers, with the Red Sox, one with Toronto, and I'm missing one. Rockies, there you go. I think it was 2000, correct?
Yep.
And I was telling Chad one random fact I people probably don't know is that you played 7 out of the 9 positions in the big leagues.
Yep. Yeah.
So
one season, actually.
Did you ever in minor league ball? Did you ever pitch or catch, or did you get all 9 at some point? No.
No, it's funny. I always wanted to be the guy that came in late in the game when it's a blowout game and throw an inning, but the managers would never let me. I was like, man, I know I could throw a strike. It's going to get hit, but I just wanted to do it. I have a good knuckleball. I actually played catch with Wakefield in Boston. I was like, Wake, check out my knuckleball. And he wouldn't play catch with me anymore. I was like, what's up? And he's like, dude, your knuckleball's better than mine. I'm not playing.
Take his job.
I wanted to do that. Never got a chance to.
I was going to run through some Spitfire questions with you. Because we've had a few big leaguers on the show, and we always love to ask who their first hit was off of.
Yep. I know it was Scott Scudder. I know you guys told me that, but it was Scott Scudder. I knew that.
And was it the triple?
Yeah. I walked on 4 pitches my first AB, and then I hit a triple. Albert Bell actually played it into a triple. It was just a line drive to left that he tried to make a sliding catch, and we know he wasn't the best defender out there, so one hopped over him, and I got a triple.
And then your first home run?
Arthur Rhodes.
And you remember that at bat?
Oh, yeah. I remember it was like a Saturday game, like the game of the week they used to have, for us old-timers, when every game wasn't on TV, and it was our game wasn't the actual game that was on prime time or whatever, but they switched over to our game because I led off the game with a home run off Arthur. And actually, the funny story is my second at bat, I hit a double off Arthur, and third at bat, he threw at me. And I mean, we're buddies now. I've known him for a long time.
That's old school, baby.
That is old school. Toughest pitcher you faced? And if there's more than one, let us have it.
And there was a lot of tough ones. The funny thing is some of the guys that I consider the toughest were some of the guys I did the best against. Randy Johnson was definitely one of the toughest. Kevin Apier was tough too, man. I don't know if you guys remember him or not. But Kevin Apier and Musina just owned me. I could not get a hit off that dude. I think I'm like 2 for 25 or something in my career against that guy. For whatever reason, I hit the guys that were the best on the other team. I don't know if it was just because I was like geeked up, to face the studs on the other team or whatever. But Joe Blow, who just got called off from AAA, I'd be 0 for 3, 2 punch outs off that guy.
And then opposite, a guy you had pretty good success against.
Well, the guy I had the most success against, I think, was Darren Oliver. I think I was 7 for 10 against Darren, and he's one of my best friends in the game. We were teammates, and I was his agent for 9 years. So trust me, I get a lot of mileage out of that. But I did really well against Roger Clemens too. I think I hit over 400 against Roger Clemens.
Put that in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Judy. I'm Judy.
I hope some of the gurus can see. I mean, who's standing in the box? None of those guys have shared a box like that against those guys.
No, they probably hadn't even shared a box in high school.
Oh, gosh. And before we even talk about some of the Twitter stuff. Chad and I were talking earlier about, the replay stuff, or, just players having more say, like with Hall of Fame voting, All-Star voting. Like, how do you feel about we'll start with replay. Like, how are you? You guys, obviously you didn't play in the replay area.
Thank goodness.
What's your take?
I hate it. And I think that it has led to what we saw last year with the Houston Astros, allowing that much technology around players who've always gone by this theory that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It's a recipe for disaster. And we saw what happened. I mean, this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest scandals in the history of our game, and I hate it. And, I can understand people wanting to get every call right, but there's human beings playing against human beings, and the umpires are human beings, so there's going to be human error. And that's part of the beauty of the game. And, if they want to use it in a limited way, say home runs that are hard to tell right over the foul pole, or things like that, I can kind of understand that. But, when guys are sliding at second base and they pop off the base by a fraction of an inch and the guy keeps the glove on and they call him out, that's not what it was designed for.
No.
Double plays, when I was taught to turn double play when I got into pro ball, Perry Hill, our infield coach, told me not to touch the base. Now, if you do that, you're not going to get the force out at second. And it was to protect yourself.
Right. You risk getting taken out then.
But now you don't even have to do that anymore, because now you can't even take the dudes out anymore.
Well, going off that, we talked about, you played in the era of, and you were a middle infielder. So you were a runner wanting to take that guy out, and you were also the second baseman or shortstop that was getting taken out. And that part of the game, I feel, is missed so much, because you signed up knowing that you could get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's taking such a tremendous, fun, and, that was the best part of the game, was hard. You're playing hard. Now, like you said, it's almost like tag. You can't run into a guy. How was that as a middle infielder for you, knowing that can happen? I'm sure you loved it, though.
Oh, I did. I thrived on that. I mean, I couldn't wait to get a run on first base when I was at second. I wanted to turn it double play, and especially if the guy who was on first base was the guy I might not like. Drop down and put one between his eyes. And, when the guys would come in and take you out, you remembered that. And it didn't matter if it was later in that season or 3 years down the road, you remembered who came in and spiked you, and you still wanted to get him back. You wanted your revenge, and it was like, you didn't go back to the dugout without taking a guy out. I mean, if you veered off or something like that, you weren't going to get a very warm reception from your teammates who went back to the dugout. It was your job to take that guy out. And that's
so
gone.
different now. Yeah, it is gone.
So is taking out guys at home plate.
Yeah.
And
we were talking about that too. They pay these guys too much money, and they're trying to protect their investment. And it's like, you guys were getting paid jack shit back then, knowing that you can get hurt on any given day at home. But these guys, they're paying $300+ million to guys that bat 240. It's ridiculous. And he could get hurt running down to first base just as much as taking a guy out at second or home plate. That's why I just hate changing the game of baseball. You don't change something that's not – the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Don't change the game of baseball, because it's something that we grew up with, our generation. My dad was old school, so I grew up old school, So I'm the last generation that grew up that way, of playing the game the right way, respecting the game of baseball, which is lost nowadays. Mm-hmm. You don't respect the game of baseball. And it's just like, stop changing all these rules or making it's not boring. If it's boring, then don't watch it. Don't mm-hmm. watch it. There's people that don't watch baseball. Oh, well, it's and just stop changing the game of baseball. And I don't like replay, because it's like, go back to Galarraga's perfect game. Yeah. Go change it. Go change it now then. If you're going to do all this replay, go change it. Give him a perfect game, because he deserves it if you're going to do replay. That's why it's like, don't do replay. And we were talking about, it should be more like the NFL, where you can't call and see it.
Do a replay.
Just throw a flag or something.
You're going off your gut, or you're trusting your players. I was safe, coach. No call in the booth, no cameras in the back. No, you make a call right then and there.
That's what's led to the Astros deal.
Yeah, exactly.
They have this real-time communication with somebody who's watching it on a monitor, and it's like, you think he was safe? Challenge it.
Yeah.
Period. And you get 1 or 2 a game, and that's it. And the game, there were always a lot of these things that they're implementing now is to speed up the game. Three guys got to face 3 hitters now, which is a bunch of crap. We're talking about in the minor leagues this year in A-ball, whether or not we get a season, I don't know, but in A-ball and lower, pitchers have to step off the rubber to throw to a base now. Well, I mean, does that have any chance of ever getting in the big leagues?
No.
Well, how many stolen bases would Ricky have had?
Yeah, about 300. That's what. And actually, one of my old teammates said Friday. He said, "If these new rules, you just stole 150 bases because they can't even throw to the base. As soon as the lefty picks up his foot, you're gone." So
and what about second? You're still in third because they can't do a spin move.
Plus, you can get a bigger lead because you guys know you played the pickoff moves when a guy steps back and throws the first takes longer. So you're going to get an extra step and a half, and the catchers are going to have no chance to throw guys out.
No.
Well, and controlling the running game's huge.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I mean, as a lefty, every lefty will have to slide step now.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, that's the beauty of the game. The great pickoff moves.
I hadn't heard that one yet. That's crazy.
Pickoff move. Kenny Rock
Pettit.
Pickoff move. Andy Pettit picked me off one time. I swear to you guys, I thought he threw the ball home. I was looking at home plate, and I looked at Tino Martinez. He had the ball at first base. I was like, balk! That's a balk! That's a balk! I didn't even know he threw to first, so I was looking at home. But that's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
The other thing we like to do, just keep moving forward, is your call-up story when you got called up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Those never get old for us.
Oh, yeah. It was cool. I remember like it was yesterday. I was in it was 1992. I was in Louisville playing AAA against the Cardinals. And just a normal day, Back then, I mean, nobody had cell phones. So you relied on the phone in your hotel room. And usually we would either take it off the hook or get a do not disturb till noon because we'd sleep in. Basically we had $15 meal money, so you had to spread that out for your 2 meals, so you couldn't eat breakfast and lunch. So you had to sleep in, so you'd eat once before you go to the field. So I'm in my room, it's 9 a.m. and all of a sudden the phone rings, and I had a roommate, his name is Bobby Brower, but the phone was closer to me, so I pick up the phone and put it up to my ear, and it was my manager, Tommy Thompson. I was playing for Oklahoma City 89ers at the time, Rangers AAA, and he goes, and he was just a character. He goes, come to my room, big boy. He goes, you're not going to the AAA All-Star game. I just made the all the AAA leagues combined All-Star team. He goes, you're going to another level. And I didn't say a word, and I looked at my roommate across the room, and he goes, you're going to the big leagues. He goes, and you're not coming back either. And I was like, how did he know that, So I go up. He gives me all the information. I go to the stadium. The stadium at that time of day is closed. Nobody's there. So we have to call the clubby, meet us at the stadium. I get called up with Brian Bohannon. We go in there, pack up all our stuff, go to the airport, fly to Arlington, land at 5 p.m., get our stuff, got a car waiting, get in the car on the drive to the stadium. It's about a 30-minute drive. He goes, yeah, the Rangers fired Bobby Valentine today. He said his last act as manager was to call you and Brian up. So I get to the field at 5:30, go in the locker room, whatever. I'm number 51. And they said, go check out the lineup. I walk over to the lineup. I'm leading off, playing second, and Nolan Ryan's pitching for us. It's like I got an hour and a half before the game, and I don't even have my stuff unpacked. And they're like, you want to go take BP or whatever? I was like, man, I don't have time to take BP. So I took infield and right into the game, my first game.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Go get him, son.
What'd you do against Nolan?
No, Nolan was
pitching for the Rangers.
That was pitching for the Rangers.
That was the Cleveland. You 2 for 3 your first day in the bigs.
2 for 3.
3 runs.
3 runs and a triple and RBI. and all downhill after that.
Nah,
I
I
don't
can't
know.
do that. You hit 290.
290.
I mean, that's not downhill.
Well, I appreciate that.
I want to kind of, Chad loves the Twitter stuff. We've enjoyed the beef with, Euclid was a few weeks back.
Kevin
France got it on
Franson.
it. What did you see that just you kindly had to, like, I got to respond to this. I can't just sit back anymore.
It's funny. I only started to I've had a Twitter account for years that I'd never used, and a buddy of mine's like, "Man, you should get on Twitter." Not really for this stuff, but just to kind of have more of an idea what's going on in social media and stuff. So I did it, and I have 3 buddies of mine. 2 of them are currently scouts, and 1 used to be a scout. They all played, and they're sending me. We send each other these funny videos that we see on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or whatever of some of these hitting techniques being taught to kids, And so we just get a kick out of it. And so one day I was just messing around in the garage and told my oldest son, who just turned 22, I was like, "Hey, I want you to video me." And then I did one with this little red piece from a tea. I was like doing some funny thing and talking about the light bulb moment, whatever that means. So I put it on Twitter, and like, it's like my buddy's like, "Dude, you got 400 views or something like that." I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty funny." And next thing you know, it's like, "Dude, you got like 12,000 views or whatever." I was like, "What?"
Going crazy.
So I was like, I'm going to have to make another one, And the next one I made has like, honestly, over like 80-something thousand views now. So people are getting a kick out of it. I mean, I'm glad I can provide some type of baseball entertainment during this mess that we're all in. But it started out having fun, and the backlash is what spurred me on to where we are today. Being attacked by guys who never played. Basically, I think because we recognize that what they're teaching doesn't seem fundamentally sound, and it's kind of like I feel like a lot of parents are getting ripped off, not knowing any better of what's being taught to these kids. And when you guys played, there's more than one way to do this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's just we're teaching the wrong. We're trying to compare kids to big leaguers, and that's where you can't do that. You have to teach a kid how to hit a baseball. Before obviously, you're a middle infielder, so you're not the biggest guy in the world. Your power didn't come until probably into your pro career. I know you did some Southeastern. You had
hasn't
really
come,
good.
so waiting for my power.
But yeah, but you know what I mean? Your power is going to come later, not when you're 9, 10, 11 years old.
When you become a man, you get your manpower.
Exactly. And it's like all these guys they're so worried about exit velocity and bat angle. And how about, teaching a guy to hit a hard ground ball? Because in Little League, how many guys are going to field a hard ground ball? Probably just the shortstop, which is the dad or the best
player. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Coach Batesall, the Fresno State coach, when we interviewed him, he said it perfect. In Little League, the fields are terrible. The players are terrible. Hit the ball on the ground. Mm-hmm. The higher you get up, then you can start worrying about hitting line drives.
Oh, yeah. He was saying the Astros, you got Altuve, the second, Correa at shorter. That's who he used for an example. Pristine field. Yeah, I don't want to hit the ball on the ground. Mm-hmm. I'm an out now.
Right. Yeah, so it's just – but that's the mindset everybody's getting is I got to hit the ball in the air. But you're still having these guys bat 240 with 120-plus strikeouts, 200 strikeouts. And I was a power hitter. I was paid for power and to drive in runs. But to me, RBIs was more important than home runs because I know if I'm driving in runs, then we're winning ball games. Mm-hmm. So I don't teach any of this. I teach down through the ball, knob to the ball, not really squished above. But, I teach the old school way of hitting from the ground up. We got to have good solid base, nice stride, load, hands through the ball, knob inside the baseball, and hit a hard ground ball. Because when you're in a game and you go 100%, you are going to dip a little bit. So that hard ground ball is going to turn into a line drive. That line drive is going to turn into a little bit, up in the air. But these guys, we're teaching freaking F7s, F8s, F9s. They're not even going to make it past high school baseball.
No, they won't. I mean, and that's the problem. It's like we're teaching everybody to swing the same way. Cookie cutter, and it's like because Another problem I have is, all this sabermetrics and all this garbage is about ground balls are out, this percentage of time, and this and that. It's like, yeah, ground balls can also knock in runs, and ground balls can move runners over, and ground balls, you can force the action and make, there's a lot of productive things that can happen with a ground ball. I've yet to see what's productive about a strikeout. And I heard somebody on Twitter, well, not heard, but saw somebody on Twitter the other day saying that, strikeouts are better than ground balls to second base. I'm like, I don't think I'll ever understand that one. Putting the ball in play, how can that be worse than striking out?
I think the only example I've heard was from Coach Vanderhook, and he was saying maybe with the bases loaded and nobody out, I'll take a strikeout over a double play.
Yeah.
But that's the only reasonable scenario I've heard where I would take a strikeout.
Yeah, maybe a strikeout if the catcher sucks and he's going to miss called third strike and you can run to first. It's like, that's another thing they were talking about doing in the Atlantic League. The Atlantic League is the experimental league. Let's stealing first. When I heard that, oh my gosh, I was like, I need a beer. Stealing first. At any point in the count, you can run to first base. I mean, I would be humiliated to go back in the dugout with my teammates knowing, that, we hold each other accountable, that I just know I'm not a good hitter. So the only way I can get to first base is waiting for him to throw a wild pitch and stealing first. I mean, why even play if that's what you have to resort to?
It was a 2-0 count, man. I had to get to first.
That's so dumb.
It was a hitter's count. I had to steal first.
Maybe if I'm facing Nolan Ryan and it's 0-2 and he throws one at my head, maybe then I'll steal first. Other than that, that's about the only scenario.
And talking about strikeouts, earlier we were talking about Chad and I were talking. I put some guys next to each other, and it was for the example was Trout, who everybody says the best player in the game, which he's a stud. Don't get me wrong, but in 9 years he's had 7 seasons of 100+ Ks, 120+ Ks, and then I went and looked at like Cal Ripken Jr., who had 21 years in the big leagues. He had 0 seasons of 100+ Ks,
and played 16 straight,
and played 16 straight. And I don't know, man. Strikeouts I don't know why it's an acceptable thing. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's the guys upstairs on their computers. That's why guys are striking out, in my opinion, is they're teaching guys that it doesn't pay off to shorten up and just put the ball in play. You have a better chance of doing damage if you keep your normal swing with 2 strikes, and if you strike out, fine. But over the course of a season, you're going to hit more home runs and get more RBIs if you don't change your swing and shorten up. And that just goes against everything we ever learned playing baseball.
That's why I don't believe that, because to me, if I have a runner on second and third and I have a 2-strike count, if I don't shorten up, I have 2 RBIs. If I try to hit a home run and I strike out, then I didn't do my job. But if I hit a ground ball to second base, well, guess what? I got him over and got him in. I got an RBI and I got another guy at third base. And I'm a power hitter, and I still believe that is the way you should play baseball. Not be like, oh, well, once every 20 at-bats, I hit a home run. Is this going to be the 1 out of 20 at-bats that I hit a home run right here? Or I could ground out for my team and still have an RBI, and maybe we win the game by 1 rather than lose the game by 1.
Exactly. I mean, that's just the way we grew up playing. It's like you come up with less than 2 outs and a runner on third base, you have a job to do. Get him in. The 2 places you don't hit the ball, right? Third base or the pitcher. Anywhere else that runner's scoring. Right? Yeah. 2 strikes, just hit a freaking ground ball to the shortstop or second base. You're 0 for 1, but hey, you knocked in a run, and the next guy has a chance to come up and knock in the next run from third. It's easier to – you guys know that. It's easier to score from third. Now he can score on a pass ball, wild pitch, balk, so many different ways. But the strategy in the game is being taken away, in my opinion. It's, in playing the game. That's what I posted something yesterday. When I came up, my generation was get them on, get them over, get them in. And you manufactured runs. And
that mentality wins, I think.
Nobody's doing that now.
No.
Till we get to the playoffs, then we're going to change back to the old way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
And,
don't.
and that's what's hard about us. We're high school coaches, and that's the way you have to play in high school. We don't have home run hitters, and so we have to get them over, get them in, bunt, hit and run, do all that stuff. But now you're getting these kids that are being taught this launch angle, exit velo, all that stuff. So when we get them at the high school level, they don't know how to bunt. They don't know how to shorten up and do a hit and run. They don't know how to move guys over by hitting the ball to the right side. So we're having to try to do more coaching at the high school level, and they're not even listening to us because they got their hitting guru telling them, no, you got to hit the ball at the top of the cage. It's going to be a home run. Like all these, then why aren't these guys hitting 20, 30 home runs in high school? Why are guys still – they're hitting less home runs now than the era I played in. And the same with in your era, the batting average back in your era was way up. I think homers could possibly – yeah, they're obviously up all around. But for the big boppers, they're probably the same. And I think driving in runs, guys would drive in more runs with the old school approach.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I played with Juan Gonzalez, and he was a great RBI guy. And Juan would hit the ball all over the field. He didn't have his bat was in the zone longer than any player I ever played with. It was like 2 feet. It seemed like his bat was going through the zone, and he would just hit rockets to, right field and, up the middle and things. And he was such a great RBI guy because he kept that approach up the middle of the field when he had a runner on second, and third, not trying to pull stuff like guys are now. I mean, that makes me so mad when I see a guy get up there, runner on third base or runner on second and third in the first inning, and he's just trying to turn on stuff down the. It's like that's the one thing you don't want to do. But you're just trying to hit a homer and get 3 RBIs instead of 1. You guys know what it feels like to go up 1-0 that first inning. You got a leg up, man. We're feeling good. We're winning this game. Our pitcher's more confident now. It just leads, it's the team concept. We're supposed to be focused on one thing, winning this game. And that's it.
Yep, scoring first, man. That wins a lot of games.
Yep.
I think the shift, too, is played – people, like, they're hitting into the shift. So no shit. They're going to shift you to pull, and then they throw you away. So it's like, well, just be a complete hitter and hit the ball the other way. Like, that was – my mentality was like, okay, I'm going to hit this fastball. I don't care if it's middle in. I don't care if it's middle. I don't care if it's away. I'm just not going to miss my fastball, and I'm going to hit it where it's pitched. Now it's like I'm just going to try to pull that outside pitch to try to hit a home run because I know if my exit velo is this and my launch angle is this. And no, just hit the ball where it's pitched and hit it hard. And then there wouldn't be this, shift as much as they do now. It's like every single batter comes up, they look at their card and like, okay, I got to shift 4 feet to the right.
Yeah, play shallow right field on Joey Gallo. It's like, that. I mean, actually, Major League Baseball talked about outlining a shift, and I thought that was straight comedy. I was like, okay, so these guys are too stubborn to go the other way. They refuse to do this, and so let's reward them because they're not good enough to hit the ball the other way. So let's punish the defense and reward the guys who aren't good enough hitters because the averages are going down because everybody knows where they hit the ball. Well, that's your fault. You can't adjust. I mean, baseball's a game of adjustments. And to me, it's more mental than anything because the guy goes up there knowing, he hits the ball to the right side of second base every time and there's 3 dudes over there. He's already, feels like the odds are stacked against him before he steps in the box.
Yeah, that's good stuff. The other one I saw that you got to on Twitter was it really, really bothered me was the pitchers today are 10 times better. And I was like, this guy, whoever this is, the families need to get refunds. That was the most absurd thing I think I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard too. I mean, I'm not really surprised anymore what I read, but it should say throwers are throwing harder nowadays, and that's the only way they're better. Because if you look at the guys, I mean, just in my generation alone, I mean, there were some studs, man, Hall of Famers that going into Atlanta and facing Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. How do you think that?
It's not a fun series, I bet.
No, you're hoping you were hot before that because you're going to cool up.
Yeah, man, but it's like, the pitchers today are, there's. I mean, I'm not going to deny that there are some great pitchers today. There are, but The guys that are great pitchers today aren't throwers. Max Scherzer's not a thrower.
No.
You know, DeGrom's not a thrower.
No.
Guys don't just rear back and try and throw 100 miles an hour by you, because you can't. You can't throw it by guys in the big leagues. You know.
No, and those are only the handful that actually go past 6 innings.
Yeah, Verlander's another one.
Yeah, Verlander. He's a pitcher.
Nobody goes past 6 innings. I mean, in your era, your starter wasn't coming out of the game unless somebody was coming in to save it.
No, or they felt like they failed that day.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that these young kids are learning, how to try to throw hard. Let's run as fast as we can in the cage and throw a ball as hard as we can against the screen. But you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I've had some video requests for that one. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. I've got a scout buddy of mine who wants to bring his radar gun over and do that one, because I know the scouts, that go see these, that go see the pitchers are like, man, none of these guys can have any command.
No.
They can't throw the ball on both sides of the plate. It's just, rear back and throw. I saw a kid at TCU a couple years ago, and they had the radar gun, which they have everywhere now. And he was throwing 100 every pitch. And it looked like he was throwing BP, because they were hitting missiles off him, because he was just rearing back and throwing it right down the middle of the plate, straight as a string. And it looked like batting practice.
Yeah, be on time and get your barrel to it. That's all you got to do.
That's all it is when somebody threw hard to me, I would just be as relaxed as I possibly could and as quick as I could, trying to get the barrel to the ball. And that's it, because they were providing the power.
Yeah.
That's why I hit guys who threw hard better than the other guys.
Well, now, what do you think? I think they're rewarding the hitters now as well with juicing the baseballs. So they're saying, hey, these guys can't hit, so they're trying to hit home runs. So let's juice the baseballs to help them out.
Yeah, and let's try it in AAA and see what happens. And look what happened.
Yeah.
Last year they went from in 2018 3,700 home runs in AAA to I think 5,600 past year in 1 year. Over 57% increase in one season, and the ball's not juiced. They use the major league.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I mean, and that's just imagining your era.
That's what I'm saying. Give that era that ball.
Yeah. Guys would be flirting with 400. I mean, Tony Gwynn might hit over 400 every year, or you know what I mean?
In my era, George Brett almost hit 400.
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn almost hit 400. And I mean, those balls were dead. When I first came up, if I hit a home run in BP, I thought I did something. Now it's these guys are hitting 20 to 25 home runs in BP around, every day.
Yeah.
So I mean, when Major League Baseball purchased the Rawlings Baseball Company, after they did the tests about the baseballs, I knew something was wrong. Okay, so we'll never find out now the true results of it.
The other thing I was wanting to get on to is, people want to question big leaguers, and they're questioning all of them. And they're, these guys are old timers. They're stubborn. They're set in their ways. And obviously the model works, because if you go back and look at the numbers, the numbers don't lie. Anybody can go on reference and look at from 1990 to 2004 or 5, and then from there to now, it's different. What do you think, and having your kids, I'm sure, that played baseball, what would you have a younger hitter focus on early?
Simple stuff. Basic stance. You have a balanced stance. I firmly believe you need to have your hands up and work down through the ball. Simple. When you get to 2 strikes, man, my whole approach, I sit fastball. I mean, you guys saw the Jeter deal. He looked fastball every pitch. So did I. When I was facing Tim Wakefield, I was looking fastball. I figured if he threw me his best knuckleball, I wasn't going to hit it anyway. But you've seen knuckleball pitchers, right? They fall behind. The ball's moving too much. They fall behind 2-0, and they throw a 78-mile-an-hour heater right down the middle, and a dude takes it. That's what I was ready for.
Yeah.
When he ever threw me a fastball, man, I was on it, right? But it's for kids, we got to keep it simple, man. For me, it was look fastball. When I got 2 strikes, all right, now I'm going to eliminate the inner third of the plate. Let's think middle away. I'm still going to look fastball. You throw me your best fastball. My plan is I'm going to, try and hit it to right center on the line. That way I'll be able to stay back on the off speed. And if you throw me in, I'm going to try and fight it off, or maybe I'll just react quick enough and be able to turn on it. But, you can't cover both sides of the plate when you have 2 strikes. You got to give something up.
All right.
And you're gonna take the percentages when the pitcher's gonna percentage-wise go more the way. 2 strikes.
Yeah, they get you out of way. I mean, they go in for effect. I didn't like facing guys that pitched inside. Honestly, like a little lefty thumber, that threw 84 miles an hour, that with a good changeup and a little sinking fastball that run away. I own those guys, except if they would also rush one in on you sometimes, and you had to respect that. You had that in the back of your mind, so you couldn't necessarily lean out over the plate and cover further away. So, but you come in, my opinion, if you wanted to get me out, you pitch me inside.
Yeah, and that 84 looks like 92.
Yeah, I mean it's a different angle. It's this far, it's a foot or a foot and a half different angle, and it can mess with your eyes. And I didn't like those guys coming in on me. That's how I made outs.
And the other thing with these gurus I was thinking about is, the money that's being made on these hitting guys. I was thinking, like, how much is being spent on the defensive side of the game? Like, are you guys got infield coaches too? Are you taking ground balls? Are you working on your outfield craft? Are you working on catching? Or are you just trying to hit 260?
Only hitting, baby.
Like, so at what point do you think about coming, like Chad said, becoming a complete player?
Yeah, there aren't many. Rusty Greer, you guys remember Rusty? Rusty actually has a defensive facility where he only teaches defense. He doesn't teach hitting. And he was a great hitter in the big leagues. But he would come out, Rusty's left-handed at first base and outfielder, but he would come out and take throws at second base when we're working on double plays and things, and just listen to what our Perry Hill, the infield instructor, was teaching us. So he knows all the stuff that was taught. So he can now teach it to kids. So I applaud him that it's not just about hitting to him.
Yeah, I wonder what the ratio is to hitting facilities to defensive facilities.
500 to 1, probably.
Well, before we let you go, I did want to ask you another question, because I remember, 2001. I think your last season was 01. I've never been able to ask a player that's been around during that 9/11 era. I've always wanted to know, like, what was that like? Because I was 18 at the time, in the locker rooms and like trying to play games. I've always wanted to get a big leaguer's perspective and what that time was like.
Man, it was crazy. I remember the day, what we were doing, because I was playing golf that day. I think it was Congressional. We were actually in Baltimore, 10 miles from the Pentagon is where the golf course was. And I was playing golf with Chris Carpenter, Joey Hamilton, me, and our clubhouse manager, Boss Ross. And we are, the golf course like closed that day, but he let us on. And all of a sudden the marshal drove up to us and stopped and said, "Hey, you guys here?" We're like, "Here what?" And he says, "Yeah, a plane just hit the World Trade Center." And we're like, "What?" We were thinking it was just a small plane or whatever. Maybe, they got lost control or something. So we just kept playing golf, didn't think much of it. A little while later, he comes back and says, "Yeah, another plane hit the World Trade Center." And we're like, "What are you talking about? Like, what kind of plane?" He's like, "Commercial jets." And we're like, "What?" So we're like, finished our round of golf, still not really knowing what's going on. And we walk into the pro shop, and they have a little TV there. And on that TV, they showed the first tower fall down. And it was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So we had a car pick us up, drive back to the hotel. I have to call my mom, who's in California, asleep, and tell her what happened. We get back to the hotel. We're not going to the field. The game's canceled. Basically, we just hung out in each other's rooms and watched CNN. in shock. And we ended up staying in Baltimore for a week, and no games. And then we drove from Baltimore on 3 buses back to Toronto. It was like 8 or 9 hour drive. And then we get back to Toronto, and then we're finally going to have a game. And I remember the first workout we had after that, we were on the field, and one of our coaches was getting pissed because the guys weren't that into it. It was like we were all in a fog. We didn't really, we don't really even care about being out here playing baseball right now. What's going on? We're more worried about how our family's going to get home. They stopped air traffic and stuff like that. It's like, my family's in Texas, his family's here. How are we going to get, we didn't care about playing baseball. So, I mean, it was definitely something that I'll never forget.
How was it when you guys finally came back?
Well, we only had, I think we had a week left in the season or something like that.
So it was like a week or two.
And it was, I mean, we didn't really want, I didn't play again. I didn't play for like the last 30 something games. And it's kind of funny story. Buck Martinez was our manager in Toronto, and I hadn't played in like, honestly, a month. A month earlier, I hit for the cycle, but I couldn't get in the game in a month, And so we're out there. We have a doubleheader, I think, the last day of the season. And we're out during BP, and Buck walks up to me and says, hey, I wanted to let you know you're in there the second game. And I was like, really? I was like, can I be honest with you? I said, I don't even really want to play, Buck. He's like, you don't? I was like, I haven't played in a month, man. I said, you played. Nothing's worse than feeling like you're going to embarrass yourself out there because you haven't played in a month. How am I supposed to be ready for a game when I haven't stepped on the field in a month? And he apologized to me and said, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I should have handled this different. He goes, don't worry about it. I won't put you in there. So he didn't put me in. They had a chance to put me in. I was the only guy left on the bench, and one guy, the only other person left available to play was in the bullpen, catcher, and they waited for him to run around the entire stadium, indoors and Skydome, to get about 5 minutes. The whole game stopped because he wasn't putting me in the game. To get the guy in for an AB. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that was cycle. I had Chad, we played a little trivia yesterday with that game, and I was asking him who the home run was hit off of, and I let him know it was a famous – his son is a superstar right now. And
he didn't tell me what sport. I had to try to guess it. It took me a good half hour, and I still didn't get it. So I was like, give me the sport. So he finally gave me football, and I still couldn't do it. I'm just like, who is a superstar that had a dad that was a pitcher?
Right.
And that played in that era, because I know that era pretty well. And then he's like, okay. I was like, just tell me the team. He's like, no, I'm just going to tell you the person. I was like, no, at least just tell me the team so I could try to guess it. Like, you're telling me anyways, but he's like, okay, the Chiefs. And I was like, was it really Patrick Mahomes' dad? Like,
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. And curveball.
Oh, God. And what's funny? It was against the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, the double and the triple were off Darren Oliver.
And who was that right fielder?
Ricky Leday.
Leday, he had a tough day that day, man.
Yeah, I need to send him a Christmas.
That's on YouTube if anybody wants to go check it out. But it was Pat Mahomes was the home run in that game. Well, I appreciate you doing this with us, man. That's pretty cool. Yeah. We definitely love the Twitter stuff. We're going to keep following, watching the videos, and maybe we'll join in with you on one of them.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Be ready for the She Gone T-shirts.
Absolutely.
When to be released.
Absolutely.
Nice. We'll send you one of our shirts as well. We'll send you one.
Okay. I appreciate it, fellas.
All right.
Have a good day, man.
Thank you, too.
All right, Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. Good dude.
Great guy.
He
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, man. I think it's funny that I don't understand why these guys get so mad. We forgot to ask him about having a burner account, but
he doesn't have one.
No, God, really. Like he said on his He's obviously not afraid to speak his mind. I guess it's just these guys taking it so personal. I don't understand, but
It's because they're wrong and they're trying to prove that they're right somehow.
I don't even want to say they're wrong. And I only say that because I don't really feel like arguing with them. You know what I mean? Like, I disagree with you very much so. But just to save the argument, because I can't imagine how much he's had to just battle.
Right.
I mean,
for sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's tiring. But I love it.
But I mean, it's not just him though. Like you were saying earlier, these hitting gurus that think they know everything about the game that might not even played at a high level. They're telling big leaguers, guys that played this game for good careers and a long period of time, that they're wrong. Like, who are you? Who am I? Who are we to tell a big leaguer like Jeff Frye that played 9 years in the big leagues and had a career batting average of 290? Who are we to tell him that he doesn't know what he's talking about hitting? Preston Wilson, Euclid, Kevin Franson, Kyle Loesch was on there for pitchers. I mean, who are we? I would give anything to be in the big leagues for a day and go 0 for 5 with 5 strikes. You know what I mean? Like, these guys had good careers, and they shouldn't have to explain themselves.
And it's not lost everywhere. I mean, we've had Jason Donald too. You know, I told you the other day, the story from that episode that always sticks with me is his city county all-star game, and just how he took ground balls during batting practice. And it's just like, you know, there's something to these guys. I don't understand why these gurus, if you will, are just so upset about it, man. Like, even Jason to have a 3-4 years in the big leagues, like, who are you to tell any of these guys no? You know, and we've had Luplo on, and, you know, we still talk about, you know, 2 for me, 1 for the team. And, you know, I'm sure there's other programs in the Valley that are doing that. So it's cool to have this and all this stuff out there for people to listen to, and to have a guy like that come on and, man, and really share his time and some thoughts and even some of his playing career is pretty cool.
Yeah, Labby hit me up yesterday. We were talking, and he's like, "Hey, have you seen Jeff Frye on the Twitter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, we're having him on Friday." And he's like, "Oh, that's gonna be awesome." And not gonna lie, it's a little nerve-wracking when you got a big leaguer.
Yeah, a guy you're not familiar with,
we don't know him, and he was kind enough to get back to me on message really quick, and was kind enough. He could easily have said no. He's probably got so many people that want to talk to him and all that. So just for him to say yes to us, and it was a lot of fun, man. And we're glad he did Zoom. He's not used to Zoom. He actually just downloaded Zoom for the first time. So we're glad it's just better face to face. And it was good to see him in his element, and his videos are hilarious. His best one, if you guys haven't seen it, just came out where he's in that back thing where he's upside down hitting a ball off a tee. It's some good stuff.
Yeah, I would tell these guys to not take it so personal.
No, because he's just joking around. With all that stuff, he's joking around. But in actuality, the man knew how to hit.
290 over 9 years. I mean, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter any of the other, you know, the power numbers or the RBIs or all that stuff. The fact is, if you hit 290 for 9 years, that means you can hit. You can get on. You're getting on base.
That leads to scoring runs, baby.
That's it, man.
That's how you win ball games.
So no, that was a lot of fun, man. We've had a busy week. We had the wives episode come out Monday. I thought Pat Wares was great too. There was a lot of stuff in there. I think you need to go check that out. And we'll have another one next week. I know we're going to be. We should have been in the Easter Classic next week, starting that, or this week when this comes out.
Yeah.
So we'll be having Jason Pappy come on, join us with us, and kind of talk about the impact of not having the tourney and how that affects Fresno High baseball. And we've got some other guys. And
Central Valley and our area.
The Valley, yep. And out-of-town teams coming in. So, and then we've got some other guys we're going to check up on in the coming weeks. So, and we're approaching episode 50. So,
milestone.
Try to do something special for that one. So,
we want to thank you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're getting to it.
Yeah, no, just we appreciate all the support, and we keep getting texts and messages on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and we appreciate it, man. We do. This is a lot of work, but we have fun doing it. It's all free for everybody. So hopefully people are taking it in, and again, we appreciate everybody's support. And you know what? We did have a shout out. I wanted to shout out. I forget the gentleman's name, but when we timed out with Pat Ware, no joke, that morning I got a message on Twitter from a dad offering their Twitter account or their Zoom account, so that wouldn't happen again. So thank you for that. That's kind of the fan base we've had. And
it is Ape with a phone.
Ape with the phone. I know he's a Clovis North dad.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome. And we love that the Valley's, that's just the kind of people we got around here, man. So again, I wanted to make sure we shouted him out. And that's it for episode 48 of the Hit or Die podcast.
Hit or die.